And we're live. We're about
Yay!
about a week late, but hey, no time like the present to get into it.
Yeah, yeah. We kind of let it we kind of dropped the ball last time.
Yeah, but we'll make up for it. And we'll just get one. We'll just kind of squeeze one in today. I
Yeah.
think that sounds good.
So, yeah.
So we are here for the next episode of the Gundam Roundtable, and I am your host Ironcaster, the man who likes to talk about some big robots, and of course I've got my co-host Fenrir. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Trying to survive as I can in this world and watching as it slowly becomes similar to the world where we are describing the show, but without the robots, which makes it less fun.
Sadly, no big giant robots. Just
So sad.
the less fun parts, and it feels like we're getting to be a little bit more like Thunderbolt, but you'll get to see that one day.
Yeah.
So, uh, I guess let's jump right into it then.
Let's get things started. Gundam fight all set. Ready? Go!
I love having these clips. Oh. So, let me fix my tabs real quick. Oh. Then. So, we are, of course, on episode 38 of Mobile Suit Gundam, entitled Char and Sayla.
Hmm.
So the episode. So I guess to let's we'll do a little bit of recap just to kind of catch up. Uh, we we ended the last episode with Makuve pulling Amuro into the Texas colony where they could go and have a duel where Makuve was planning to take advantage of every dirty little trick and trap he had at hand to pull Amuro in, complete with like little tiny micro mines in the wind and the like, just to be able to get him at any opportunity. Taking advantage of he was a bit of a he was a tricky guy and someone who had studied his opponent quite a bit. Overall, I think Mukubi was actually a really good fighter. If don't necessarily want to.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
I
know,
didn't expect for him to be that good. He survived a longer amount than most. Admit.
and I mean, he had a pretty cool mech design with the Gan, with like the shield that launched missiles and spikes. Or no, it was like spike. They launched a bunch of like spikes and stuff.
Yeah. But it was something that shouldn't have just been for one episode. They probably should have kept it on a little longer.
Well, I mean that was kind of part of the whole idea, was that you would have these higher ups in within the Xeon forces that would go and withhold certain suit designs, withhold resources for themselves that could have been very well used by the rest of the forces.
Yeah.
But you know,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot
taking
of the old supervillain cliche that you have a new weapon of very dangerous capability, but instead of just waiting and reproducing it in mass for everyone to have the same level, you just go straight ahead and fight the main protagonist with it, not knowing about the armor plot.
well, of course, how are they supposed to know that in some cases that they'd be facing off with the Gundam? But at the same time, though, it kind of makes sense to a degree that they want to, in some cases, hold off and test something out before you go into mass production. Because I mean, stop to consider with this how so many different model types and the likes that have been used by the Xeon forces. I mean, three different variations of the Zaku. We have the Goof. We have multiple versions of the Dom and the Rick Dom. We have multiple, like the little tiny tanks with the little planes on top that can take off. We have uh, multiple mobile armors, etc., etc., etc. There's just so much of this, and that's not even labeling off every single Xeon mobile suit we've seen with just within this one show. If you were to step back and look to some of the other supplementary sources to some of the other series, you would see that there was a lot more mobile suits, mobile armors that we didn't even see in within the contents of the just the 1 year war.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually kind of impressive to realize how much variety they had and they were researching. But at the same time, that was kind of holding them back because they overly pushed into the research there, and we're seeing the bit of the downfall of that. And
Yeah.
but just much like that, we are also seeing that, hey, the Xeon forces have not are suffering the folly of that. Henceforth, the apparent, well, not apparent, the within the confines of this cartoon, the death of Mikuve.
Yeah. Uh,
Which, it's kind of a lot to get into there, but this of course is not even touching on the new type elements with Lala and reaching out
and
psychically to Amuro.
yeah, and freaking Char's real name is how the hell do you? I even forgot it, but it's something so weird. No wonder he calls himself Char. His name is just so
Casval.
fruity. Yeah, Castle is just
Oh,
so freaking fruity.
Edward, like Edward Mas. I mean, Casval Reem Daikun. Like, the guy picks up nicknames like he picks up red mobile suits, which is to say he gets a few. He gets a few more over the course of over the franchise.
Yeah, pretty hilarious how Hammer immediately identified that it was Char just because of a red mobile suit. Funny to see where he knows his enemy.
Yeah, I was like, apparently he's paid attention enough that every time I've had to fight a red mobile suit, it's kind of wound up being Char. I wonder if this is gonna be Char again. Oh wait, no, we got some red paint on the lens. So yeah, we got that kind of hint of the psychic powers that they can like that at the very least you see that it seems like they can, like, anyone who is a new type can to a degree communicate with one another.
Yeah, like the Jedi presence feeling thing.
Yeah, yeah, actually, that's a pretty good parallel. Except mind you, this came out just before the Empire Strikes Back,
So
so
it's
you don't have.
possible that they can say they copied them.
I mean, at the same time, it was kind of, bear in mind, Star Wars in '79 was
Hey, if
basically.
Marvel can steal Captain Marvel's name for a bitchy character, I'm pretty sure Gundam can do this.
Well, I mean, we could just as easily just chalk it up to psychic powers.
Meh.
I mean, it's kind of the unfortunate. It's kind of the less exciting thing to say that, oh, you know they didn't steal this from Star Wars. I mean, let's be clear. Apparently one of the people that one of the showrunners, the producers from it, was saying they did, for example, it designed Char's helmet based on Darth Vader. So there is absolutely influence going one way there. Like, Star Wars was the talk of the town at the time.
Yes, it was.
But
I
speaking of
mean, they
talking of,
had a lot of cool stuff. Darth Vader, the Death Star, pretty much everything about it was awesome. I mean, sure.
Mhm.
Gundam keeps it going. So, well, another thing they could sue for lightsabers. They look a lot like the Gundam's blades.
Hey, laser sword is generic enough.
Uh,
Just saying. So the episode cuts to the aftermath of the explosion uh of Mikuve's Gian, and we get a bit of the white base is out there still, which is still, by the way, dealing with the fight and the distraction of Mikuve's forces. They're not going to be able to just get away, and the fighting isn't done just because Mikuve is gone. No, they still have their orders, and they're still, trading pot shots like it's no man's land in World War One, in a sense. They're both undercover with these big asteroids, and it's that kind of case where they gotta take their shots and pray that the other one isn't up first. And they're hiding in the wreckage of some of the destroyed colonies.
yeah. Yeah, this is. I really, I have to admit, I enjoy how they have no communication because of the Monasky particles thing. It's amazing how that can also the things that thing can do.
Yeah, it's Minovsky particles uh, are your just kind of show particle. Your kind of it's basically the sort of magic that makes the series go, because and it explains how so much of the science works. Well, the mobile suits can move because Minovsky particles allow it, and it also forces them into melee range to an extent because the Minovsky particle. And it's like so much of the show is explained by that one premise.
In great part, it's pretty much an excuse for a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm. So Amuro is looking around and trying to find the other mobile suit, the one that he believes is Char. Which, to be fair, he's right.
Yeah,
Unable to
it's
find
obvious.
it.
The guy is pretty easy to read.
Yep. Lala had, of course, been protected by Char from the explosion of Mikuve's Gian, and he tells her to head back to the Zanzibar now that she's gotten a chance to witness combat firsthand. And it furthers the plot that she's becoming this important piece in it. That she's kind of that. She's that what we're seeing is that introduction of the next step of the show, that next sort of evolution of things, because how Amuro has had to grow and come to be a competent warrior on the battlefield, which at this point now we see that he is truly a fearsome threat. He's not a novice, he is an ace by all accounts. And Lala here introduces that monkey wrench, and we're getting to see a bit more of that now. That the sort of ability that could bring about in the battlefield. I mean, think about it. If you have two opponents on the battlefield that can kind of communicate like this, what
It
could
could
what
pretty
could
much be a battle without any known ending. It'd be almost impossible to predict.
right? Also, it's kind of, I mean, it's kind of part of one of those sort of themes that uh, Tomino and others wanted to kind of get into this uh, kind of these ideas of kind of explaining war to kids and it isn't as violent as actual war would be, but it it just kind of it further shows the evolution of warfare. The
Yeah.
show does. Meanwhile, on the white base, we have we're kind of coming back to the white base, which is still caught up in this battle involving the Xeon forces, and they're unable to go and reach out to Amuro with the Minovsky particles. And him pulled away by Bakuve. He's too far out of range. They lack the ability and means to communicate with him. Amuro being their best weapon in this, their frankly best soldier. And there's nothing they can do. If they try to pull out here to go and like look for him, they're gonna get shot down.
Yeah.
So we do get though that in this, Frau is worrying about how Amuro is, but Mirai mentions that so it just you kind of get a hint with it that Mirai is able to tell he's safe, which maybe that could, one could chalk it up to just a sort of a gut instinct or a trend of calming, but given where the show's at, it's kind of implying here that more than just Amuro have this ability. That more people on the white base could have it, but
Yeah.
not everyone.
Yeah, only a specific few.
Mm-hmm. Amuro, meanwhile, is out searching for searching for that red mobile suit, and of course we get to get a brief moment of the two of them fighting. But however, as Char is trying to fight here, he's however struggling with. He's now at a point now, or rather, Amuro is at a point now where he's struggling to be able to. Oh, I'm sorry. Amuro is at a point now where he is a match for Char, and to the point where Char is now having to struggle to be able to fight him. Amuro is able
Yeah,
to
but it makes
effectively.
yeah, but at this point you have to wonder: is it really his skill, or is his human capabilities that are actually allowing him to go? Because if so, it kind of makes the question if Amuro isn't actually as skillful as we think, and it's just his powers giving him a boost.
Well, I mean, it goes a little hand in hand. I mean, we at this point now, Amuro is starting to say the Gundam is too slow for him. Amuro is getting better. Amuro is getting stronger and faster, and the Gundam can't keep up with him. It's the new type ability. We've seen times where someone's moved to try to shoot Amuro in the back, and he senses them there. He's able to, as we actually saw back here, duck out of the way before he gets hit.
Yeah.
So it's not just a matter of luck or anything. It's Amuro. This new type of ability for Amuro is making him a damn good fighter.
Yeah.
And frankly, at this point, is not someone I would want to fight, especially in a mobile suit.
Well, I don't think anyone would, but
No, not when the kid's like apparently like drinking combat meth just to be able to stay active and goes into a blind rage half the time.
combat
Actually,
met.
I was talking with some friends I was talking with some guys in a Discord server, and we were kind of going through a little bit of the Gundam, and someone started making comments about all the like about how, like, for example, all the we'll say German soldiers, because YouTube,
Yes.
those mid-century German soldiers would oftentimes get drugs in the chocolate, or that,
Oh
they
yeah,
would basically,
heroin, methamphetamines. I've heard about that.
yes. And it's kind of funny thinking about how many times they're quick to give Amuro like food and that after the meet before he goes into a fight. It's like, wait a minute. Were they trying to say something? Were they trying to imply something there? Oh my god, it makes the show so much better, especially when you start realizing half the amount of times that Amuro just freaks out in the middle of things.
Yeah, it actually would explain some things.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I don't have any good clips of Amuro. I mean, just this.
All right!
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up.
Yeah, it's maybe it's Amuro doesn't have any maybe Amuro's superpowers come from all the drugs he's
He's just
ingested
high,
to
just
yeah.
very, very high.
He's got like meth senses kicking in. That's why he's able to like deflect right, like go a full on like Darth Vader, and just deflect laser bolts. But yeah, to kind of get back to a point here a little bit, Char is the one with the underhand here. This is a suit that he's not familiar with. This is him taking it out for essentially that sort of maiden voyage, that test voyage. It hasn't been properly like tuned in quite right, and he's going against someone who, while he's oftentimes beat him over and over and over, has however gotten very used to the Gundam, has been able to log in a lot of combat time.
Yeah. The Gundam is a piece of his body now, something he can truly master.
Yeah, Amuro is not one you should take lightly. And he's able to kind of have a sense of where Char is at. It manages to disarm him. And of course, we get a little bit of the Terabad animation.
It's good for its time.
Oh my! This is one I've actually never seen people reference. Just the bad perspective. This is one of those we've kind of talked about it in the past. The Russian.
Yeah, it looks like he's trying to hit the. Looks like he's trying to hit the Gundam's pecker.
I have a clip for that.
Again, all that ever did for me was always imply that Autobots and Decepticons actually had penises.
I mean, look, I'm just saying that, like, if they don't have genitalia there, it probably still just hurts getting hit. Regardless. And you just got rammed by a car.
Still.
Hey, LDG, what's happening? Just come to enjoy some bad animation with us?
And talk about robotic peckers, because honestly, this has to come from somewhere.
Tim, I'm glad to see you can make it. Tell me, have you seen this shot before? Because this is one I've never come across. I've never seen people reference. when people bring up some of the bad animation of Gundam. And like I said, this is that, rushed animation job of it.
Mm.
And then we get a little bit more of that fighting of the Gundam and the Gelgoog duking it out. But of course, Amuro in all of the fighting has been struggling to keep up with the animation. Or with the animation. Has low energy to where he's unable to fight. Unable to follow after Char, who retreats at this point. And Char then resorts to one big old explosion just to kind of throw Amuro off the trail so he can retreat. The Gelgoog, meanwhile, is still damaged in the side there, so it isn't exactly in much better combat shape itself. And so Char manages to, at this point now, barely escape.
Yeah, by lying that he died. He pulled shit. Who am I thinking about? He pulled okay, what character fakes his death that I'm thinking about?
Jean Grey?
He pulled. I mean, it's right, but
actually,
I don't think it's.
no, she dies too much. Professor Xavier.
Meh. Yeah, let's go
Yeah,
with that.
Xavier fakes his death so many times. Like,
Yeah.
it is like soap opera levels of fake deaths with him.
Yeah, it's like a Mexican telenovela, but without someone playing the viola.
Mm-hmm. And there's only half as much crying.
Well, it depends. Seeing how many times the characters in the Marvel Universe have cried over a death, at this point they could pretty much fill a river.
I know, yeah. Apparently, like in Marvel, it's like you get one of those little punch cards, and if you get if you die 10 times, you get a free sub. Or maybe if you die 10 times, you get to be an Avenger. I believe it.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, they've taken Captain Marvel. At this point, does being an Avenger mean anything?
It means you get to be in a big movie. That's about it.
Then nothing. Okay, then.
Mm-hmm. So, meanwhile, off in space, we still have the space battle going on, except now we have the forces of Commander Joaquin, who's been around quite a while. And he's trying to rush in for support in the battle to the Texas zone. And as he's heading out, yeah, things aren't going very well there.
Do they ever? This girl.
No. And so the Xeon forces take it out. And as you can see, there's a bit of strength left in the Xeon forces still hiding in the wreckage. So, like I was saying before, the fight isn't over just because Mukube is gone.
No. As long as one man still commands and has breath, then they have not stopped.
Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, I think this is a really great shot. This is one that I think stands out to me.
I gotta admit, the ships, when it comes to their animation designs, they are always flawless for me.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm just kind of talking about like this shot in particular. This is one that I really like. It I mean, you've got that good use of all the colors. You got your you basically have all your main colors there. You got the blue, some blues in the space color. You
Yeah,
have
plus
the
the
red of the
star up
one
in the
ship.
distance
Hmm.
really makes you
And
feel like you're actually seeing it yourself, like you're there.
also with the way it's all shaded. Like this is a really well drawn scene.
The shading can do anything, can do everything.
Hmm. However, shading isn't going to do. However, the only shade they need to worry about is, well, they need cover. They don't need shade because Bright decides that, well, Sayla's about the second best thing we have. We're just going to send like her alone out to fight. And to her credit, Sayla managed to take out one of the two ships.
Yeah, she's getting better. She's no longer that little.
Yep, turns out that like the smart move was not to put her in the Gundam, but just put her in a big ass armored plane. Like she can be a badass fighter pilot apparently, taking out battleships by herself.
Yeah. Wonder how long till she gets her own Gundam.
And hopefully at some point. So with the score evened, with the forces evened out, uh, Bright decides to go in, guns blazing, and launches the missiles because so they can try and meet up with Joaquin's forces. Uh, oh yeah, Tim's got that right. In Origin, she kicks some pretty good ass, and she doesn't need a mobile suit for that.
Mm. No wonder. But they actually give her a female version of the Mobile Suit Gundam, a female design.
So when we do finish this Fenrir, that's when I think you should watch. That's when I want you to watch the Origin because I believe that the Gundam the Origin, it makes a lot of sense if you already have the context of the original show. It's a prequel, but it's good to have have that knowledge of the series. It's like it's it's like going to Star Wars without the context of Darth Vader, without knowing the context of episodes 4, 5, and 6. Some
Yeah,
people
the
will
whole
say,
Clone Wars stuff.
yeah, it's like without realizing that the Empire's going to wind up being a thing, the Emperor and all that. But uh, now, see, it would be kind of interesting to go that route, but I think you get more impact in the Origin with having the later context of the One Year War and the events that series leads to. Because at the very end of it, you see at the very end of the Origin, you they wind up on side 7 with the basically right at the start of the first episode where the white base is pulling in and you're getting to see these shots of a lot of the crew here. You get to see, Sayla, and you get to see Hayato, Kai, Frau, and they stop and they give it a little name, and it's like, well, why do these kids matter if they had nothing to do with this show?
Yeah.
Which again, that anyway, that's my opinion on it. I can be I mean, you're probably you are right to a degree that it would be good to do that, but I also think that it's kind of a bad way to go about watching the Origin first, partially because of the animation. because to go from like a 2016 like computer animation that's like buttery smooth and is great, and then you're coming back to the original Gundam from '79, it's a bit of a culture shock of animation quality.
Well, it depends if you're not already prepared for what you're going to get. I mean,
Yeah. By the way,
so yeah, you're right on that.
apologies if you guys can hear anything in the background. Some family showed up, and I'm trying to hurry this up a bit.
Oh, good
Sorry
for the
about that.
celebrations then.
Oh, just family come by, help out someone with a car.
Okay then.
So the white base decides to head on into the Texas zone because they need to go get Amuro, and this is where he was last at. We better go. We better go pick him up and get the Gundam. Which they then sit down and begin to go send the forces out. Let's see. Frau's been manning the comms for this, and she's getting kind of out of it. They've been under constant battles recently, and so she's not doing as good of a job with kind of maintaining the communications on the uh, on with communications with the white base. So Bright decides to relieve her duty, send her off to go get some rest. I
Yeah,
can
she
man the
needs it.
comms while you do this. And plus, until someone else comes up and can take her place. Char, meanwhile, is still kind of slumping around, trying to head around and try to go get to like a buggy to get to some safety.
Yeah, that's what they call those cars, dune buggies.
Yeah, they're little buggies. And
I've been wondering. That's been killing me all day.
oh they're doom buggies. They're space buggies because they can like turn the little wheels into jets apparently and hover, I guess. So they're space buggies. Char, meanwhile, has taken notice of Sayla, who is who was sent out to go and search for Amuro. Where we finally get one of those big little reunion moments that we were expecting for a while.
And I gotta
And
admit, I kind of felt that Char actually does care for Sayla in this moment because it's kind of heartwarming.
yeah, uh, it's a moment where we get to see that all the previous interactions between these two in the very brief moments that they've happened. We get to see a lot of payoff of those where we're not playing around anymore. It's like we're not playing this are they not family sort of game that I mean really they didn't exactly hide the show didn't hide it very well, but it's
Yeah.
man, let me get a little drink. Ugh, I need that. Anyway, so we finally get this big moment of Char and Sayla just having a moment to talk because this is a chance we have not seen, or a chance for these two to really talk and as essentially as brother and sister, where they're not being rival soldiers from either side at this moment.
There's just Sayla and what's his name?
Casval,
Yeah, Castle. Yeah. God, that's so hard to remember.
to which he's doing that sort of big brother thing, and it's telling her you've had these opportunities to quit the Federation. He's being a brother here. It's like you should have quit. why haven't you yet? Sort of thing. And Sayla is giving some pushback. How could you join the Xeon after what they've done to our family? Which this is one of those moments where you really get the where you get Char's motivation for why he's done a lot of the stuff he's done, getting fleshed out. This is all that buildup of like, well, why did he kill Garma all those episodes ago? You know, I mean, all right. So, mind you, I've gone through this show a couple times. With this context, Fenrir, do you feel like that was when he betrayed Garma like that? Did you feel like that was a good idea then? I mean, yeah, I know you didn't like Garma, but in the context of the show, with how the show presents things, did Char's betrayal of Garma feel like it made sense to you?
Well, seeing from a strategic point of view, no. But if we're talking about the emotion of a man who was in a search of revenge or has anger within him, yes, it kind of did.
And I mean, it's kind of an unfortunate thing that here we are, 30, almost 40 episodes, almost right at the end of the run, finally getting a lot of this laid out for why these things happen. But, here we are. Here we're getting that now. You get to see that those bits of flashback. But of course, as I kind of briefly snuck past here, Sayla does have an open line, and Bright is listening in. But he's only hearing half a conversation. Which is a good little complication to throw in. And to kind of get to the to what happened, their father, sick from, it suggested that he was poisoned. Oh, at the very least, he was assassinated. Has Zeon Zoom Daikun, or I'm sorry, Daegwin Zabi, at his side to whisper his final words in his ear. And of course, being the opportunist he is, Daegwin Zabi says, "What's that? You want me to take over?" Why, I couldn't. Well, okay. And claims the power for himself.
Yeah. Moving the puppets.
Mm-hmm. Does this look like the face of a man who would betray you?
No, it looks like. Oh, come on. That's definitely what it does look like. I mean, look at that smile.
My favorite though is there is Char and Sayla's father there, Zoom Daikun. The look on his face is, "Dear God, what have I done?"
Yeah. That is regret right there. It's like you bought one thing on the store and then you realize, holy crap, why did I do this?
It looks like he just realized he got conned this entire time. Like, oh, it's like he's literally just saying like, whatever. It's like whatever he was whispering to him, and he's saying, "What's that? You want me to take over? Why? Yeah, or no. It's like you're laying on your deathbed, and you got a guy laying on his deathbed, and he's like leaning over to his best friend. And his best friend's like, "What's that? You want me to take care of your wife? To sleep with her? Well, I couldn't." It's like, oh. As like those are his last words, and the guy's using him to just steal his wife. Like, oh, you son of a bitch, you did this, didn't you?
This is why you write wills.
Well, look, Do you realize how apparently rare and expensive paper is in space? Everything here is done. Everything in space is done with computers. I don't see a computer anywhere near this body. Do you?
Nope, not at all.
But also, we see that Sharn's. We get little hints of what of the memories that Sayla had kind of hinted at some months ago for us with Rambarel, if you'll recall.
Yes, I recall
That
that.
that he helped look after them and protect them. Well, rather, what would be Rambarel's father?
Hmm. Yeah.
Which, given that little bit of context for you, it kind of you look back on the way Rambarel reacted when he saw them.
Yeah, specifically Sayla back in the episode where he invaded the Gundam.
Right, and he's like, he basically looked at them like they were practically family like he hasn't seen in years, and or I'd say then. So when he saw Sayla, realizing she's there, and it
It just
stings
hit him
that much
hard.
more. Yeah, especially realizing that like he didn't make it much farther past that. Like, oh, Rambarel. I miss him so much. I miss him so much. So now, with this context given, I'd like to point out to you how I like to say that Char Aznable is the secret protagonist of Gundam.
Well, I'm not sure about that, but yeah, you do you, buddy.
I mean, okay, it's like you play through a video game, and then when you've beaten it, you're like told story be unlocked, and you're playing through as like the rival character. It's like, why can't I play through the? I want to play through the side B, the story B mode. I want to play through as Rambarel now. Could I do that? There's a Char.
Oh,
So Char's whole plan all along has been, I'm going to get revenge for for my father, for our father here.
pretty much the same protagonist story of all times.
But
Right.
he also sees that there's more to it than that. That there just the petty revenge isn't enough. Oh, sorry, I saw a couple comments there. It's kind of like watching a remaster of Zeta where they. Oh yeah. I can see that. Yeah, Zeta came a few years after this, and the animation is better, but still suffers in some spots. And they went and did some movies that sort of cleaned that up as well. And yeah, this is like what I'm saying. He's the secret protagonist. He's in this series, Zeta, the Char's counterattack. There's Unicorn, and Origin is a movie all about him. Char is the secret protagonist.
Yeah, he's got the protagonist looks at least, but meh.
And so, uh, Char begs like one last time to Sayla. Sayla, leave the Federation. The fighting's going to continue, and I don't want to. I don't want to see you hurt. Go back to Earth.
Yeah, because if the moment comes and they are face to face in the battlefield, he is gonna have to do it.
Also, that he he tells her here that uh, the cast file she once knew is gone. He's part of the past. He's now Char. That, and he also says he's going to give her a bunch of gold to pay her way back to Earth. You know, Bright meanwhile is
With
like, the
gold.
fuck. Meanwhile, Bright just looking like, the fuck did I just listen to?
Yeah, really weird that she kind of. Okay, how did she not remember she had the radio on?
I mean, to be fair, the sudden shock of seeing her brother suddenly appear on a battlefield.
And I gotta say, it was pretty funny seeing seeing him react to all of this and everything he's hearing. I mean, he has no idea what's going on here.
I'm curious why Char wants Sayla to go to Earth when he wants he wants humanity to leave Earth because their souls are bound by Earth's gravity. Um, that he comes to that Char comes to that conclusion later. That that kind of
Wait,
becomes
souls bound to the earth? What? What?
oh okay. This is one of those things that kind of comes up later in like Zeta Gundam, and then the movie that sort of wraps up that the story of Amuro and Char. That later on they come to the he later comes to the conclusion that, well, if we can bring more people to space, we can get more people to become new types, and we can let the Earth kind of be at peace. Like, humanity has left the cradle of the Earth.
Okay, don't explain the plot of the movie. I'll see it. The time comes.
To sum it up, Char kind of becomes an eco-terrorist.
A space hippie, then.
He may come to that conclusion later, but it drives from Daikun's original ideals, which he learns from that childhood. He learns that from childhood. Yeah. Yeah, this is uh sorry, had a brain fart. Yeah, that I mean, you are. I think you are right there, Tim. But we're also kind of jumping ahead a little bit. Uh, Basically, this where we're at is about as far as Fender's gotten with this, and I do kind of want to try to strive to avoid getting too far into the weeds of stuff outside of this one show, which to an extent even includes getting into like some of the other great series like 8th MS Team or 0080 or etc. etc. Sayla, meanwhile, is left just emotionally devastated here. She's confronted her brother and gotten to know him in a way that she probably hasn't known him in years. I mean, beyond the fact that he's now just a completely different person than the brother she once knew. She now knows a lot of the reasons, like why is he with Xeon? Why is he doing what he's doing? And for what she believes to be misguided reasons. Which is a really great moment. I will point out this is one of those really solid bits that builds on that sort of emotional pull of the show. Uh, well, one, finally getting some reasons for why does Char do what he does. We've had the benefit now of having a much longer stretch over which to tell the story, though it is uneven at times. And I do see the benefit to why they then went and redid it with the movie trilogy, because you can essentially condense it down to like 5.5 to 6 hours, this whole show. But we wouldn't have had like the 30 plus hours of doing this live stream. And I mean, come on. Besides, we would have never gotten all the crazy fun stuff that we have around here.
Wow.
Also, I missed getting one of those in so far, so I had to justify that at the very end. Yep. So anyway, the Gundam is completely wrecked from fighting two notable mobile suits there, and they managed to Sayla managed to come across and finds Amuro, and they were able to call back for the white base to pull in, so they can just go and pick up the Gundam. And yay, everyone's back together. A big happy family, right, Sayla?
Yeah. Right.
Yep. Char's ship, meanwhile, the Zanzibar, uh, heads off into space, going, going and rushing out, charging out like a bull, kicking ass in its wake as it heads out. They retrieve the Gundam, and as they're starting to head out into space, we get a hint of something kind of floating out in the air. Something, which to anyone would think, maybe it's a bomb, maybe it is just some wreckage from the colony. But whatever, grab it. We need to hurry up. We need to go catch up with the other forces.
Hmm.
Fortunately, as they get out, we see the destroyed wreck of Commandant Joaquin's ship. He and his forces met with unfortunately met with the forces of Char, and got in his way.
Yeah. I gotta admit, it was weird. It's just pretty believable. They literally showed a massacre. A kids show. Japanese
yeah.
really know. It's like showing a village getting shot down by a bunch of Marines.
Ooh, wait.
Village of farmers.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. Also, apparently, when the series was being brought to the U.S., this particular episode premiered on 9/11.
Holy shit! Are you kidding me?
No, that's like, well, rather this episode would have premiered, but instead they, I guess, decided to play. They would
Yeah.
instead play some Dragon Ball instead because, hey kids, look at the dancing like Goku. Let's look at that instead. Don't worry about all the big scary stuff happening in New York.
Yeah. Yeah, it's better that way.
Also, apparently, the next episode after this would have been the last episode they aired before they just pulled the show from Cartoon Network completely. But that's getting into something else. So we cut back with the last scene to Bright and Sayla in her room.
Yeah, she just received a box filled with. Okay, I gotta ask, how much does Char make? How did he get that in such a short time?
How many? Like, I'd like to imagine that like that apparently you just get a box of gold with like every mobile suit you pick up, or maybe when like they're like, Char, you're really good at what you do. Why don't you just go ahead and have a little bit of this gold, But
I mean, are these bribes that he gets or something for them to keep on being good in his job or something? Because I mean, how did he get a box filled with
we'll
gold?
cover that we'll get back to that in a moment. I want to kind of touch on this bit real quick. Bright stops to give Sayla the suitcase, and he kind of points out that as the captain of the ship here, I can confiscate this, but I don't want to. What's in it? What's up with this suitcase?
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's the suitcase is
And she tells him
filled with
about
gold.
Yeah, that is gold from Char.
Weird that she doesn't still say that Char's her brother.
Right. She just says it was gold from Char. Which at that point you gotta wonder, like,
and it's weird.
why
They
would Char
accepted a
give her
box.
gold?
They accepted a suitcase that was transmitted to them by an unknown person, and didn't exactly examine it to see if it didn't have an explosive contained in it.
Well, that, and at that point you gotta wonder, like, is this like a bribe? Did you just get bribed? Have you been giving away secrets? I don't want to think you were, but you're literally being given a box of gold.
Yeah, and you just spoke
enemy.
to someone we don't know on the outs. Yeah, this would be if other military personnel were there and this was the real world, she would pretty much be put in the prison for a trial.
Yeah, well, if nothing else, questions would be asked. And it's like, yeah, apparently she just gets to keep that. So, the gold thing is obviously a reference to the, Nazi gold. Just to point out the elephant in the room of what this is supposed to be implying.
Yeah. I mean, just look at how it shines. Just says, pick me, pick me, pick me.
It's like, gold.
I just love these cartoony things.
Isn't it great? So, with that, the episode ends. Sayla reading her letter from her brother, and
her brother with the name God damn, why can't I ever remember the freaking name?
Oh,
yeah, Kazma.
Once you hear it about 1,000 times, you're like, yeah, obviously it's like Casfall. And so like I said, the episode ends, and we have just kind of this moment of answering questions that people may not have been realizing that it might have been kind of around, but it puts a lot of at the very least, this episode puts pieces into place and makes sense with it.
Yes,
Mind you,
plus it
it is
begins
of
to build up
course,
to new things like the new humans and so on.
it is of course, like I was going to say, episode 38 before we finally get those answers.
Yeah.
Better late than never, I guess. But the show, while it's great, I love it. It does have pacing problems with the way the show is laid out. Where there's some stuff they're just terribly subtle about, and other things they just like beat you over the head with in like episode 1. So, Fenrir, I gotta ask, what did you think of the episode? Your final thoughts?
It was interesting, began build up to some things. The animation and designs were a bit off in some areas, but in others were pretty cool. And yeah, I enjoyed the small get picks this gives. Like, for example, the crab bomber just screams it out. How literally he can identify who Char is just by looking at the freaking color of the Gundam. It's funny. Plus the tears stuff after the whole fleet was destroyed. It kind of just hits because again they lost more allies because of their choices, and this is hitting hard. I like to see those moments where the characters have the weight of their actions upon them.
So, getting to see that Commandant Joaquin gets just completely annihilated. It's kind of a shame because there are, in some of the versions of the show, he is made out to be a good character, and others he's made out to be a complete asshole, but that's kind of what you kind of get a bit of a mixed bag of some of these characters. And, that's kind of war sometimes. There's times where it's like there's a character that's been built up you like, or maybe you don't like it, but he's key. You don't get to be there in time to save them sometimes, and, well, the Commandant was that person.
Yeah.
So, what do you give the episode?
9.5 out of 10.
Really?
Yeah.
What was it about the episode that really worked for you? I'm just out of curiosity.
Honestly, it was pretty much just Char. I like his way of combat.
Yeah, that Char fights are almost universally like excellent. And plus, you really want to see him fight. And this was a great case where he's not being the one totally kicking ass here. No, Char is now in this position where he's at the disadvantage against Amuro. And I think that makes it exciting because, this isn't some like Rey Skywalker sort of situation, Rey Palpatine situation where like she never has a struggle. No, Amuro has constantly struggled through this entire show, and he's had the upper hand a few times, sure, but
yeah, he struggled a lot more, both physically and mentally. I mean, he has passed through some heavy shit that a kid his age should not.
Mm-hmm. Which is why I'm so glad to see, here we are, 40 years later. Char Aznable is still an icon. It's like one of the most iconic like anime antagonist, and I think he's going to remain that way for the next 40 years to come, and then some.
Yeah.
As for myself with this episode, as I mentioned, I kind of have some issues with the pacing of the series overall. I feel like some of this could have been kind of fleshed out a little bit before, or maybe we could have gotten some of the justifications for why Char does what he does at some point sooner. But I can't sit here and talk about like the what ifs, or that. It's kind of a matter. I have to take this episode as it is. As it is, I'm gonna have to agree with you. This is a great one. I'm gonna give it a 9. And that kind of points off just because I kind of can't get past the issues of what I feel could have made the show better is if they had if they had the luxury of having the chance to pace things out. But that kind of goes against what should have been a 50 episode show, and that gets the whole thing. So yeah, that's our final scores. Like it, great, love it.
Yeah.
All right. Jeez, where's this noise all around here? Okay, good. No, that phone's not going off. Anyway, Fenrir, what's coming up this week?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I got nothing, dude. I'm kind of gonna take
Nothing.
thinking about taking a week off of psychological prowess. I just want to relax.
What about Friday?
Hmm.
You don't want to talk about some Spider-Man?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be there, but these days I just really want to stay in bed. I mean, I got work and gym. I just want to take the moment when I get home from those things and just sleep it out. Just pull out the lazy boy.
There, D-Bud.
Hey there, man. Thanks.
But, all right. Hey,
just take out the lazy boy, sit down in front of the TV, and just let the time go.
Watch that spectacular Spider-Man?
Oh, yes. I am rewatching it anytime I can. Still perfect.
I'm gonna have to find some other shows for you to check out because I like the Gundam, but what else could we find?
Do that.
You know what? I've got the perfect show for you to watch.
Okay.
Star Trek Discovery.